thoughtful ideas and suggestions for guests and topics.
Events, programs, and
Welcome to this week's segment of Dialogue Houston. I'm your host, Lawrence Payne. To our regular viewing audience, welcome. To those joining us after the first time here for HCC's TV Dialogue Houston, we can be found now every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 a.m. and again at 6 p.m. As always, in the top of the hour, let me thank you for your thoughtful calls, emails, and text messages concerning previous shows we've aired here on HCC TV, but particularly your great ideas and thoughts for guest topics and subjects to be covered on upcoming segments of Dialogue Houston. For after all, this is your community affairs, public affairs show, proudly beginning our 28th year. We have a great show planned for you today. We're going to talk about two different things, but all related because it all deals with human beings. I am proud to have my guests who can do both and talk about the reality of what it means to be a chaplain at a major hospital during COVID-19. What does it mean to be a man of God dealing with the realities of how citizens understand the world around them with COVID-19 in a post-George Floyd world, all that's been happening in 2020. And then in a very special way, about midway through the show, we're gonna switch gears so that he can help us understand and can talk to us about the clarion need for us to respond in help to the people of Colombia, and particularly the islands of San Andreas and Providence, because of the hurricane that we know most recently hit on November 16th and 17th, my birthday, actually. And so we are going to look at how you can assist that island in its recovery. We know as Houstonians, we've all been very generous. We've always been very generous, and we respond to the need. So we have to let you know of the need so that you can respond. And that's what we'll be doing. But before we get into that part, Dr. Hall, welcome. So great to have you here.
It's my pleasure to be with you and with your viewing audience.
Let me just say we share something. I'll just share this with you. I was a chaplain for a while, a good while, in Chicago at Russ Presbyterian, St. Luke's, and Cook County Hospital across the street. And I'll just say this because you already know what I'm about to say. The experience of being a chaplain at a large private hospital and being at the county hospital across the street, and the realities of those two worlds, different worlds, and the patients we serve, has always left a profound impact on my heart. And so I applaud, I've always applauded the great work that chaplains do. And you're at Methodist Hospital.
Yes, that's correct. I've been here at Methodist for 25 years.
I know, I was about to say that. And I know you've been there quite a while.
Yes.
So tell us, what is the world of chaplaincy like in the middle of all this COVID-19?
I would like to just begin by sharing how I got here. It's
Oh, please.
kind of interesting.
Please.
I was born in San Andreas Island. It's a 27 square miles island in the Caribbean, 500 miles north of Colombia, and about 80 miles east of Nicaragua. I grew up speaking both English and Spanish, and went to seminary in Colombia, Baptist seminary in Colombia. The fact of dealing with human suffering and pain made me realize that I needed some first-hand experience with human suffering, in the sense that I used to just connect, I was connected to the glory side of the gospel, the celebration of the gospel. However, I was confronted over and over and over again with pain and grief and suffering, and I didn't know how to deal with it. One of my retired missionary professors advised me to explore chaplaincy. So I came to Houston in 1990, and man, it was a tremendous discovery. In chaplaincy, you see humans in their lowest and sometimes greatest moments in life. You have to be real when you deal with suffering and you deal with pain. And with COVID especially, to be able to see how vulnerable we are and how much I have to be careful about me and taking care of self. The awareness that when you walk into a room with a person dealing with a disease like COVID, you are risking your own life in many ways. And to be able to be there and to experience the anguish of family members at home wanting to be at the side of their loved ones and unable to be there because of the same precautions that we have to take, and making those phone calls, praying with them, and sometimes sharing with the grief of a loss of their loved ones. To me, all this debate about wearing a mask or not, or social distancing or not, has to do with the golden rule. Do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. And the idea that I have to be respectful of other people makes me have no issue in wearing a mask or being careful about social distancing and all the requirements that it takes to keep us safe, to keep myself and other people around me safe. I'm very hopeful that this vaccine is approaching, and we might be able to relax a little bit and go back to a sense of normalcy. But right now it's not normal, and we have to be careful of how we relate to each other.
And whatever normal is going to look like,
Yes.
the backside,
Yes.
the new normal, the new normal, the next new normal.
Yeah.
But I want to go to a couple of things you said, and I'm so glad you couched it that way. To this whole mask thing, wear a mask, don't wear a mask, it's a very selfish thing.
Yes.
And I think what it has shown, and not only the wearing of the mask, but a lot of other things that have transpired in this year, is that we have masqueraded as a very caring humanity, human beings caring for other human beings society, when in reality, that's not true. We have never been challenged about our humanity like other countries have been challenged. So this is our first time to really be challenged on what does it mean to live out the tenets of what you say, as you call humanity, as you said very well, just the golden rule. And it has shown, I think, an incredible void in the word and the deed, what is said and what is done, what is preached and what is practiced about caring for your fellow human being. And in this selfish environment of the I and me, there is no we and us.
Yeah.
I don't care about we, I only care about me.
Yeah.
And so, if you said it so clearly, and what I know patients and people who've died too from COVID, and the saddest thing the family says is that they had to die alone.
Yes. Yes.
And their death, yes, their death, I can accept their death as a Christian. I get that part, but I cannot accept not being able to be there.
Yeah. At Methodist, we have tried to bridge that gap by having televisits and having iPads in patients' room where we can beaming family members that they can at a distance see their loved ones and join in prayer with us. But it's unbelievable, difficult, painful experience for us and for the patients' loved ones at the other side of at the other side of that iPad. It is a stretch to reach out, to be present, to be available, to walk alongside those who are anxiously hoping that a healing may take place. And then sometimes we have to say, I'm sorry, but your loved ones have died or have passed away. It's amazing how we learn to be resilient. We learn to be to embrace that reality. And let me say this: I've had the privilege of traveling almost the whole of Central and South America, and I've been to Europe. There is no place with the kind of financial, economic privilege that we have in this country. And sometimes we can easily become desensitized to other people, to this sense of me and me and me alone. It's a very dangerous thing. We are a community, we are the human race, and we have to be able to be connected. And part of the politicization of this the mask, where if you wear a mask, then you are a wimp, or you are somehow showing some sign of weakness. I've heard people even use the scripture to just justify not wearing a mask.
Mm-hmm.
But in my own consciousness, I am not an entity on my own. I live in a community. I'm part of a community, and especially my community of faith, where I have to be careful not to hurt anyone with my actions. I have an 86-year-old mother-in-law living with us, and my consciousness about not bringing a disease into the home is enlightened and enforced by my willing. I don't want to feel guilty of having brought a disease that would end my mother-in-law's life.
Right.
So the sense that we do unto others as you would like them to do unto you, to see that all human beings, we are all in this ship together, and we work together, we be together, we try to make things work together. And it's a call not only for Christians, but for people of faith from all faiths and persuasion. We are in this together.
You know, that sentiment that we're all in this together was beginning to take hold a little bit before COVID. And the response to, of course, the George Floyd shootings and the things that happened after that, when you saw the marching and demonstrations across this country, across the cities, of cross-section of all humanity, of all people, young, old, white, black, everyone together. And even with COVID at that time, people tried to be very sensitive and wear their masks in the marching and demonstrations. So the point that you made so clearly, we have no choice but to try to get back to that again.
Yes.
For the sake of humanity, for our common future together. And this divide that keeps going around with the mask, with voting 50-50, going one way. And now I hear that even after one has the vaccination, you are still required, if you're smart and you care about your fellow human beings, to continue to wear your mask and do social distancing. So just getting the vaccination is not going to stop that reality of the mask, nor the social distancing for quite a while, until truly down the road when we can say we have enough herd humanity that we can, immunization, that will take care of that.
Yeah.
So the mask is not going away. The social distancing is not going away. The contact that you mentioned so desperately human beings need to be in contact with each other in relationships are still going to be difficult. And you said something to me that gave me insight to maybe we can figure something out. Our resiliency
Yes.
that we've been all mustering is going to have to be even more in the forefront, more in the way we operate as human beings. How do you see us getting there? Is that a prayerful reflection? Is that meditation and prayer? Is that the ability to slow down and begin to kind of understand that as a human being, I need to now fortify myself as my grandparents and parents fortified themselves throughout the history, from slavery to Jim Crow, to Reconstruction, to the Great Depression. Through all that, we've come through a lot.
Lawrence, I believe that the journey is a journey to discover oneself. I am my circumstances. It's very difficult to be able to not look at the world in lieu of my upbringing, my culture, my background, my experiences. I'm speaking to you in English, but I'm speaking with an accent. And every time I speak, people will say, "Where are you from?" Because I have an accent. But if you were in my world, people would ask you, "Where are you from?" You have an accent. So the thing is that we have to have a journey of internal self-awareness. Famous Socrates, 600 years before Christ, says, "Know thyself." The journey within, to be able to discover who I am, and to be at ease with myself, with my journey, and to be able to reach out of that awareness and embrace other human beings as equal to me, it's a tough journey where it has to be done. And sadly, I would say it's more than religion, because some people are religious and still are filled with prejudice and hate towards other people. I hope that, I mean, Christ is the example. I mean, to me, the greatest human being that ever touched what on this earth is Jesus Christ. And the way how he was able to embrace the woman at the well, how he was able to praise that Syrophoenician woman who came, that she's not a Jewish person. The parable of the Good Samaritan. Yeah. It's about embracing one another and respecting one another. And that comes out of profound self-work and self-awareness.
And that self-work and self-awareness, to our own self be true, right?
Yes.
And all things will follow from there.
Yes.
Is, I think, the place where we are. When our previous guest that you heard and listened to, Fran Victoria Stevens, talked about implicit bias and racial issues, that reckoning has to start with my own reality and being honest with myself and being true to myself about how do I think, feel, and act around these issues.
Yes.
And you said something a minute ago that made me think about this. It really is an internalization of what we say we think and believe, and therefore how we act and behave. You know? And I think the disconnect, the out of alignment that so many human beings have in what they think, feel, and act upon. And my listening audience have seen me do this before, so I'll just finish it. The head, the heart, and the gut, to think, to feel, to act, the cognitive, the affective, behavioral, all that plays into how we see and operate around the other.
Yes.
And increasingly the other is causing some internal tension because we have not done our own work.
Definitely. Yeah, see most of the anger and the misconception
and the fear, anger and fear is self-imposed.
Yes, yes. You see, how could I hate a person from China, hate them because they are Buddhist? That's their culture, that's their environment, that's who they grew up being, Buddhist. You know, or hate somebody from the Muslim faith because they are Muslim. It's their experiences, their culture. If I were born in India, I would have been, maybe I'm a Hindu. The thing about it is to be able to respect that by knowing that each and every one of us brings something uniquely precious to life and to our world. The diversity enriches us. When I look at other people, I see things that I can learn and grow from their own experiences, instead of seeing them as an enemy and a person in opposition to me or in contest with me. It's be able to see human beings as you know, precious creatures that God created and God loves, and He loves all of us. For God so loved the world, it says. You see, so that's the idea. And this is I learned from chaplaincy, really, from going into rooms and visiting people from all different walks of life, visiting people from all different race and financial resources, rich, poor, middle class. I visit everyone, and I visit people from all over the world. And it's a rich learning experience to be able to get involved with this in this context.
Yes, it is. Listen, well, I'm gonna pivot with you here in a minute, but you and I will have to pick this part of the conversation up together as another time, and maybe get a couple of our friends on as a panel, because I find it very fascinating.
Great.
I was recently a patient at Methodist Hospital, but I didn't stay long enough to reach out to you to make you around so that we could pray together. So we'll still have to do that at some point.
Yeah, that's great. Look forward to meeting you.
Thank you. So let's
not as a patient, but as I look forward to meeting you. You are.
Yes, thank you.
I have a great experience of who you are.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I've had a rough year. I've had a rough year, as my audience knows, when it comes to being a patient, between my cancer and my heart issues. So I'm really trying to leave this patient thing behind me. And
yes, great, wonderful.
So let's pivot and talk about the current need for us to understand how we can be of help to the wonderful islands of San Andreas and Providence, and from Colombia. Because
let me say this: the island of San Andreas and Old Providence and Catalina.
The third one.
Yeah, we have 3 islands. Those islands were beautiful, beautiful spot there in the ocean. We are about 150 miles right south of the Cayman Islands. And those islands were colonized by English with their slaves. And so it's a culture mixture of English, Spanish, and African ancestry. It's the hurricane Iota passed a little bit south of the island of San Andres. The people on the south side of San Andres got affected, but it hovered over Old Providence and Catalina as a Category 5 hurricane for almost 8 hours. It flattened the place. I mean, there is not one house standing. It is the flora, the fauna, everything is completely wiped off the island. You know, a few days later, we had this stench of dead hogs and birds, and it was just all the people. Most of the people were evacuated to the island of San Andres. They are living in shelters that we, you know, Baptist camp in the south of the island. We have a Baptist school on the hill. They're all in different shelters, and we are trying to provide for them. We just finished sending off a container with medical supplies. The Methodist Hospital donated supplies gratefully, I mean, through our president, Mark Boom. They gave us medication for people with diabetes, insulin, metformin, medication for high blood pressure, and so on. So we sent out this container with medication, with purifying little machines that purifies the water. We sent off food, non-perishable equipment, and so on. However, to do this, we with this community we had, it cost about almost $5,000 to ship a container from here to the island. We have to rent a truck, drive it to Miami, and then from Miami, pay the freight for it to go to San Andres, and from San Andres go to Providence. So we are in the midst of preparing a second container. Initially, one of our friends from the Baptist organization gave us 100 sleeping bags. People are still trying to find places where to sleep and how to sleep, and they are living in tents, and some of those tents are not very good. When it rains, they get wet, and they are cooking outdoors, and so we're trying to send non-perishable tin goods and so on that doesn't require lots of cooking because of the condition when most of the people in Old Providence and Catalina. But it's a humanitarian event where we have never experienced anything like this in the past. And my fear is, I mean, the island of Providence we only have about 5,000 people in Providence and about 1,500 in Catalina. But the island of San Andres is about 100,000 people living there. So if Iota had went over San Andres, it would have been a complete mess. And I'm saying in the future, we have to really be planning to, you know, the idea of global warming is not something that a little island of people can fight, or we all have our responsibility to be aware that global warming is changing the reaction of the oceans, and we are getting lots of hurricanes now, and very strong hurricanes, very powerful hurricanes. So my fear is that maybe sometime in the near future we might have something like this again happening in San Andres. However, right now we are reaching out to our people. We are trying to, the way to help is, I'm receiving donations through the church that I'm pastoring. I'm the pastor of Iglesia Bautista Melrose. So if anybody wants to donate to help us, they would have to either bring the supplies clothes, food. What they're asking mainly right now, they're asking for underwear for men or female, and you have to bring it to the church, or if you want to help monetarily, you have to write your check in the name of Iglesia Bautista Melrose and mail it to us, and then we would surely appreciate your people as you reach out to us and help us.
And the church is located at 8902 Irvington.
Yes, that's where we are.
8902 Irvington. The phone number is 832-978-8805
Yes.
or 832-208-3997.
Yes.
And there's also a toy drive going on because we want the children,
Yes.
of course. They don't understand. All they know is that it's Christmas, and Christmas means where's my toys. So I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Hall, that toy drive is this Saturday from
Yes.
12 to 4 p.m. there at the
Yes.
church, at the Melrose Baptist Church, 8902 Irvington.
Irvington, yes.
And we
That's
really
the north
want,
side of Houston.
yes, I really want everyone to go by, buy a toy, bring toys, plural, unwrapped. We prefer them unwrapped at this
Yes.
point. And also, as Dr. Hall said, non-perishable goods you may bring.
Yes.
The need was very clearly underwear for men and women. We get that.
Yes.
That's an important thing. Canned goods always work, but the
Yes.
full top is mostly appreciated because
Yes.
sometimes we just don't have a can opener.
There you go. You have it right.
And when you're trying to heat stuff, don't give us something to plug in to heat on a hot plate. Give us the stuff with the sterno, because that's probably about all we can.
Right now, there's no electricity on
Right.
the island. The government is working on re-establishing some electricity on the islands, but we don't have electricity on
That'll
both of
probably
those
take a
islands
while,
right now.
though.
Yes, take a while. It takes a while.
So just think of all the hurricanes we've had, all the things we've done in response to those hurricanes in this country, what people need, and just do that in the same mindset. We've been through a lot of hurricanes. We
Yes.
know how to deal with them. We know what people need. You know, the buildings that are left all have blue tarps and on the cover. That only works so long. The country is in the middle of their summer, which is also their rainy season.
Yes.
So it really is a challenge at this particular time to do that.
And you know, Lawrence, I've been in Houston for 30 years, and we experience hurricanes here. But we can go to San Well, or to Dallas, but on an island there is nowhere to go, nowhere to hide.
Well, good point all the way around. There is nowhere to go. So, all right, if you're going to send tents, send those real heavy tents.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
'Cause we experienced that. Actually, I'll just say this: it's kind of God's hand at work. The
Yes.
tents that you now see that some of the homeless have all around Houston,
Oh,
those
yeah.
tents are replaced now with tents that people give that can stand almost anything. Some of those, so that's what you need. You need
Yes.
the tents you do when you go camping way out in the wilderness. That's the little
Yes.
pop-ups. All right, Dr. Hawley, tell me I have to get out of here. I want to thank you for being our guest and thank you for all that you've said.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you. Bless you. And
continue.
have a great holiday season.
All right, I want to remind everyone once again, it is the Melrose Baptist Church at 8902 Irvington. The toy drive is this Saturday from 12 to 4. But other times during the week, they're also open and accepting donations. So just check in with them on their website or call any one of the numbers, 832-978-8805 or 832-208-3997. We got to get out of here. We want to thank you, but
Bless you.
please support the efforts of the wonderful San Andreas, Old Providence, and St. Catherine, Kathleen
Bless you.
Islands, and we will get that done. All right, I got to
Thank you
go
so much.
until we see you again. And thanks again to Dr. Hall and all the people working with
Bless
him
you. Bless
to
you.
do this. Stay well,
Yes.
be
You
safe,
too. You too.
stay
Bless you.
in, cover your face, wear your
Yes.
mask, do your distancing, so that we all can be together again in the new year and continue talking about the issues that are important to us as humanity, as human beings. All right, until then, peace, power, and love.